Hello, hello. Welcome back to a new episode of Reality Rights. This is the podcast where I, Ellie Alexander, and my tech guy husband
Hello.
peel back the curtain on all things writing and bookish. And this week, we're going to do something slightly different, yeah?
Yeah. Well, I don't know how much we're talking about writing this week, right?
Well, I think both of these topics lend themselves to writing because certainly they have inspired my writing. Both of them, actually.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I know one of them has for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe one more than the other, but yeah.
Okay, so this week, leaving no mystery out there, we are going to go head to head on our favorites. We're going to go Taylor Swift versus Star Wars.
Star Wars.
I should have worn my Eras Tour.
Yeah, you should have, but you didn't.
Shoot.
Not
That's a
repping,
missed
not repping your side of the argument. I see how it goes.
It's no good. No good. All right, well, let's start off with just a little background into our own personal fandom. When did you first become a Star Wars fan?
I already know this, yeah. 1977. 6 years old. Yep. I saw the original in the theater. And I was hooked. And then that Christmas, so that was May 25th, 1977. And then I started collecting the toys because George Lucas was a genius when it comes to merchandising and understood how big the movie was going to be and how much kids were going to love these, action figures and the ships and everything. But that Christmas, Santa knew enough about Star Wars to bring me every action figure that I didn't have at the time. And then he knew enough about the movie and the story to include multiple stormtroopers because there was more than one in the movie. So it was pretty cool. I was firmly hooked on Star Wars and definitely a solid believer in Santa Claus.
Solid. Well, I saw it as a kid too. And then my brother was equally obsessed. He is 3 years younger than I am. And he had, like you, many of the action figures and the ships. My favorite was he had the Ewok village. But we would spend hours and hours and hours playing with his action figures and reenacting all these scenes. And honestly, I really do think that I was learning storytelling from a very young age in that, because sometimes we would reenact scenes from the movies, but a lot of times I would make things up. He didn't always love that, actually. He wanted me to stay on script, but I would go way off script and, have Leia do something out of the ordinary, which was always fun.
So you're saying that all your readers should email George Lucas or DM him on social media and thank him for the BAKESHOP mystery and SLOAN mysteries and all that?
I think probably. Okay. It makes sense.
I like it.
My fandom for Taylor obviously started later because she was not born during the Star Wars era like we are as Gen Xers. But for me, I've always been a fan of music. I would devour, we were just talking about this last week with Sky Guy, Casey Kasem's Top 40, where you would listen on Saturday mornings and I would count down my favorite songs. I was a huge Wham fan, Aha, Madonna.
Oh, yeah.
Why are you laughing?
I know. I mean, just all of those. Yeah, I agree.
No shade. And George and Andrew. But for me, from a music perspective, I love lyrics and always have. Indigo Girls are probably my number one favorite and always have been. But once I discovered Taylor in her early years, I really loved her lyrics. I like her musical style. I can go a touch, I don't want to say country, but indie folksy in a way that you would probably steer clear from.
No, I don't do the country.
No.
Although a couple of Taylor's more country songs are okay. Beyonce's new country song is pretty cool.
Ooh, it's a bop.
But the rest. And hey, if that's your thing out there, great. I don't want to hear it in the comments.
Darling,
I don't like country. It's good.
Hit them up with all of your country.
No, don't.
Yeah.
Because I've got because I can't respond in kind. Remember, I'm partially censored here, so.
Yeah. So, I think Taylor, from a lyrical and songwriting perspective, just really spoke to me. And when I first started writing the Bake Shop Mysteries, I'm someone who always writes to music, as you all know. So I have, thanks to you, early on, you were like, "Oh, well, you should just do a Spotify playlist for your characters." And so I will create Spotify playlists for my characters, which is amazing because there's so much sensory input on that. Like, I'm not even paying attention to the music at this stage because I've been listening to the same playlist for what, 14 years now. I've added some songs to it, but it's like cellular memory where I sit down and I'm like, okay, I'm in Jules's world here. But Love Story was the theme song for
Yeah.
the entire series.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know me, that's one of my favorite Taylor songs. I love it. I love Love Story.
You love Love Story. I mean, what's not to love about it?
And I mean, as you can attest, I'm terrible with song lyrics. I'm like, oh, the chair is green and it's against the wall. I don't like what, but that song, I know all the lyrics to. So
you do know all the lyrics. Well, and I think that's interesting too, because you come from a musical background.
Yes.
And so I think for you like the musical aspect more probably than lyrics. And because I'm a word girl, I just latch on to lyrics. And for me, she really is a modern day Shakespeare in terms of her poetry. But you played saxophone all growing up and all through college. So I think you're probably more musically inclined in that way.
Yeah, I like the tunes.
I like the tunes. All right. So that's a little background in terms of, well, actually, before we go into like, our head to head questions that we put together for this, you also took your fandom to a new level this year for the Star Wars universe. Yes.
I did.
You did.
Well,
do you want to talk
I wouldn't
about that?
say I took it to a new level. I'm like showing it in more ways than just my extensive Star Wars t-shirt collection. Because I added to my body now. Whoops. So you can't really, I got to do this again.
Ooh, for any of those darlings out there, yes, he's showing
tattoo. Off. Yeah, I got a big tattoo of Boba Fett on my right forearm. Boba Fett, where? He's on my forearm now.
But not just Boba Fett. What version of Boba Fett?
The Kenner action figure. Like a stylized version of the Kenner action figure. So the same color scheme, but Danny Sun, the tattoo artist that I worked with, his artistic rendition of it.
And this is your first tattoo?
It was.
Yeah. And how long have you wanted a Star Wars tattoo?
I mean, I'm betraying my age here, but probably like decades. I'll just say decade. How about decades?
Okay. Decades. Uh-huh. And what if you regret it now? What if you turn, 60 in another decade and you're like, oh,
yeah, it'll never happen. It'll never happen. It's too, would you stop liking Taylor Swift?
Probably.
That's such a lie. Lies.
No,
lies.
Definitely not.
We're losing listeners by the minute because everybody knows you're lying now.
Sorry, darlings, that's a lie. All right, well, let's get into some questions. So I think one of the very cool things about what Taylor does is she plants all of these Easter eggs. And sometimes fans take it to an entirely different level that I'm sure she's like, no, I definitely did not mean that if the hand of the clock strikes 2 at this time, right? But I too love a good Easter egg. And one of the things that I've really enjoyed with my Patreon account this last year is that I send character letters out each month. And all of those character letters, not all the patrons even know this, but they have a little teaser of things to come. Yeah, of things to come in future books. So I can't wait then for them to see these future books. And I love that little idea. And maybe it's the mystery writer in me, but peppering in these little hints or clues that might portend to something in the future.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't even know that. I've helped mail out some of those character letters.
Yep, it's true. They're gonna get like a little tiny, tiny teaser.
Cool.
So, if we have to go head to head on our first question, we're gonna talk about lightsaber battles versus song drops.
Mm.
Which one is cooler? Song drops, obviously.
I have to go with lightsaber battles. No, this is a Sky Guy Customs original. Like I have my lightsaber handy. Actually, the one that turns on is over there against on the wall, so I couldn't walk away and grab it. But no, I got to go with lightsaber battles.
Why?
I mean, they're lightsaber battles. Like I don't, like that's just that just makes them cooler right there. Lightsaber battles.
Well,
I mean, nothing against Taylor, because I love Taylor, but I mean, now if Taylor would do a song drop with a lightsaber, oh, that would be just perfect. Perfect.
That was gonna be one of my questions. Like, if we gave Taylor a lightsaber, or if we gave, let's say, pick a character from Star Wars. Pick your favorite character.
Boba Fett.
Okay, we gave Boba Fett a guitar. What would happen?
Well, I mean, I think those might be equally popular. You know, one of my favorite posters, unfortunately, it's over there on the wall. I'll have to show it sometime, but it's like the greatest rock concert ever. And it's got like Luke is shredding on the bass and Han is like jumping in the air singing, and Leia's down like just screaming into the microphone, and then of course Chewie is like rocking the drum kit. So that concert would, I mean, it might rival the Eras tour.
Oh, there's no chance. No,
I mean, it might.
She could come out. No, she could make a special guest appearance then.
Well, sure. I mean, but that would be different, you know. But I'm just saying,
we're talking set design, backup dancers, lighting, pyrotechnics. Like, come on.
Oh, this would have all that and more.
I'm not
probably the Millennium Falcon would probably do a flyover. It would just be amazing.
I think if we gave Taylor a lightsaber in some sort of Star Wars battle, she would kick some serious ass. Like, the new album Fortnite is all about just modern female rage. I would think that she would take that out with a lightsaber really well, and I would love to see that happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, the Star Wars universe could always use another really strong female character, especially with the passing of Carrie Fisher. It's, you know, there's definitely room there. So that would be great. I would love to see Taylor Swift in something Star Wars.
But then
now all the Star Wars fans are going to freak out on me in the comments because they're like, oh, I can't believe, you know, and it's just like, no, it's my opinion. And it's my podcast. So, yeah.
Your opinion's wrong and your podcast is wrong.
Oh, gosh. Well, that's okay. There's a great question right there. Like, whose fans can get a bit more ridiculous, Swifties or Star Warsies?
When are the Star Wars?
I shouldn't call them Star Wars fans.
Yeah. Star Wars fans. That's boring. Okay, so Swifties already win there.
Well, no, but I'm saying who can be more ridiculous? Like, you know, when it comes to either arguing about let's start with whose fans could be more ridiculous when arguing about the content itself. So arguing over Taylor's song lyrics and their meanings, and arguing over like how bad people thought the prequels were for Star Wars.
Okay, well, yeah, let's tackle Taylor first in terms of the fandom. I am solidly a Swiftie. Like, I know the lore, I know the things, and also I guess maybe this is because it's nowhere near her level or even like remotely close to it. But I do know what it's like to show up in the world and have people judge what you're doing, right?
Oh, yeah.
I have some people who will tell me to my face, like, oh, I really hated your book. Like, wow, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. Appreciate that. So I think there is, like, I feel like a mama bear for her sometimes where you're like, "Oh, but she can also handle it." Like, she's a grown woman, and she seems like she has good, strong, solid boundaries. But, the Swifties can also go real hard on, um, her former love interests. You know, like, if you've
So
dated
dumb.
her. Yeah,
That's so
I mean,
dumb.
that's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like, and also I think this ties back to writing too. There's something about the very first book that I wrote was a memoir about losing my mom to young onset Alzheimer's, and we had just had Luke and that whole experience. And there's something about when you write about something hard that you've gone through, you transform it, right? You turn it into art. You take your life experience, you put it on the page. Even everything in all of my series, like the Bake Shop, like Jules and her love. There's all this theme of loss and grief that I was working out, especially in those early years, because I wrote that also shortly after my mom had died. Um, or the idea of being vulnerable, any of those things. You write that and you change it into art, and it becomes something else. For me, it becomes a book. For her, it's a song. So she wrote about a breakup 10, 15 years earlier, and then there is this piece of the fan base that goes out and, like, wants to attack somebody on her behalf. Like, "Oh, no,
Mm.
that's like, no, that's gross." I don't think that's the intent of her storytelling. And I just don't think there's any need for that, but that's sort of the con, I guess, of putting yourself out there and being really open about your storytelling.
Right. Yeah, no, it is disappointing to see people attacking just over like music and everything. Star Wars fans don't really attack other people because it's a little bit different. They go after the people that make the content. Like so it'd
Right.
be like Swifties going after Taylor.
Yeah.
They go after George Lucas, they go after Dave Filoni. It's just like it's not good. Yeah, and it's disappointing too. It was disappointing when The Force Awakens came out and there were some characters, there was racial diversity in the characters and like a very racist segment of Star
Oh,
Wars
I'm not
fans.
doing
Like,
thumbs up to that. I did thumbs up to the racial
yeah, no, no,
diversity,
no. I
yes.
know, I knew what you were doing. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
No, but
That timing could
a
have been
very
bad.
racist segment of Star Wars fans like reared their ugly head and suddenly thought that they should let everybody know that there aren't black people in space. I don't.
What?
It just
No.
it was ridiculous. It was just ridiculous. So that was
And then
disappointing.
some of the actors there, like, left social media because they
Yeah,
were getting so much hate.
yeah.
I can't fathom that. You land something like Star Wars and you think this is gonna be, the biggest break of my life, and then that's the reception that you get, and the sad thing is that always feels like it's from a small percentage of the fandom, in both cases, I feel like.
It is. It is for sure, for sure. But it's sad that that exists in something that is just made to bring entertainment and fun into people's lives. It's really sad. So yeah, it's the same thing with Swifties though, going after love interests and stuff. Because I don't think that's what Taylor's asking for either. But
Or
man, there's a
going
big
after.
army of them.
Yeah, right? Or going after, nobody liked the fact that she was dating Maddie Healy, and so there's a whole song on her new album, basically, which is like, a solid back off fans. Like, this is my life. I get to decide what I want. Like, and that has to be so hard to be in, showing up in the public in such a big way, and then having to like gauge your own personal love responses on a fandom. Like, that's nuts.
Yeah, yeah, that's too bad. Um,
But both of the fandoms also have amazing positive things about them too. So for
Definitely.
me, we all went to the Eras tour this last summer,
Yes, that was fun.
thanks in part to you
Yep.
getting in the queue for tickets before me.
Yeah, who was of the two of us, who was a verified fan?
You were a verified fan.
I was a verified fan. Who was
This
not a verified
I was not.
fan? Yes.
Oh, brutal.
I mean,
Um,
I could have like held that ticket for anything. Like it, I couldn't have extorted you though, because all that money had come out of our our share, all our accounts. So
I
I'd
know.
just
Yeah.
be like blackmailing myself. Oh.
I remember the day that it came through because my editor, who is a dear friend, she started the Bake Shop Mysteries with me, and we have remained friends for many years and also are both giant Swifties. So we had a whole text thread going, and she's like, okay, I just got my verification. Like, make sure you go check your email. So I'm refreshing. And then a text comes in from you, and you're like, hey, I just got verified. What?
Yeah. Yeah. I used the force.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. The force is strong with this one.
That's right. But that concert will live in my memory forever for so many reasons. And we've been to a lot of incredible concerts over the years.
Mhm.
I mean, some standouts, right? Coldplay's up there. Amos Lee, like love a lot of always. I love an Indigo Girls concert, especially outside in the summer at the zoo in Portland. Those are some of my favorite memories. But Eras Tour,
Andy Grammer, Fits in the
Andy,
Tantrums.
yeah.
Yeah, they all put on great shows. Yeah, but nothing compares. I mean, sorry to everyone that we just listed, but you got beat.
I know, because it was every level of it, right? It was the music, it was the dancing, it was the show. I said that a little bit before, but as somebody who loves stories, like she told a story of each era as she went, and that's so inspiring to me. But I think the most incredible thing, and it still gives me goosebumps, darlings, I'm looking at my arms, not that that matters to you at the moment, but I have never been in a space where there was so much joy, where you saw women and girls and people of all ages lifting one another up. Like the bathroom line was this giant, like, hype line. Like there was just, it just radiated joy. Like every interaction was beautiful. And having gone to many sporting events together over the years, usually in a stadium like that, we saw Taylor at Levi Stadium here in Santa Clara, and it's sometimes a little overwhelming. Like there's some big energy in the air, and this energy was big and just beautiful, and I don't know if I'll ever have another experience like that.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was really great. I mean, I think the difference with sporting events is it's a competition. So you're
Sure.
going there are fans and players that you hate, even though you don't know them,
Right.
but you hate them because they're wearing the other team's colors, and so there is negative energy associated with that. And yeah, there wasn't any of that there. And I will tell you, oh my God, that when she showed up, when she came rising up out of the stage,
Yeah.
that was the loudest sound I've ever heard in my entire life. I think I blacked out for a second because it was so loud. I've never heard. I mean, there were probably 75,000 people there. I've never heard that, and I've been to some huge sporting events, with easily over 100,000 people in attendance, and they pale in comparison to this. But I do have a complaint with you,
Oh,
because I thought one of the things that you say you always remember most is that during Love Story,
yes.
when the lyric says, he got down on one knee and pulled out a
Mhm.
ring, I
Oh, yeah.
actually did that
I know.
during the concert. I
I
had
have
it
it right
all
here.
planned out. I even coaxed my niece, who came with us to the concert, to film the whole thing.
You did.
And so we have it on tape. Yeah, or on, yeah, digital recording, I guess
We
I
have a
should
digital
say.
recording. I'm showing, oops, I gotta go this way.
No, you gotta go. Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
And here's the beautiful ring from Red, which is actually, I gotta say, it's still like it holds up to me. This album is one of my favorites. And you did, but I was so completely captivated by the concert. I was like, oh yeah, great, thanks. I'm still listening. Love you. Mm,
Yeah. It was the biggest. I wish we should roll video now, but I don't have it with me. But just the like, it was the biggest non-reaction. It's
it's
just like,
terrible.
oh, well, whatever.
It was lovely in hindsight. In the moment, I was a little too caught up in the
Yeah,
concert
you
to
were dancing
fully.
away. That's
Yeah,
that's for
exactly.
sure. Well, I mean, it is like you started this podcast off by saying that was like that's one of the. I mean, it is the song for the Bake Shop Mysteries, right? So you were waiting for that one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, let's talk about the pros of the Star Wars fandom. There are some amazingly cool experiences that you and Sky Guy have gotten to have over the years when it comes
Yeah,
to
totally. I
Star
mean,
Wars
I
fandom.
think it's for the most part, it's so supportive, and especially with Luke and uh, like all his artistic abilities and the stuff that he's been making with Sky Guy Customs and everything, and just seeing the people like their reactions and lifting him up and everything has been really cool. We've been to Star Wars Celebration. We got to go to it in Anaheim, and that was awesome. I mean, to see Star Wars fans of all shapes, sizes, colors, persuasions, whatever,
Costumes.
it was amazing. And everybody was there to have a good time. I can't wait. We're going next year to Celebration when it's in Japan. So I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, it's great because it's a sci-fi movie, and to be an adult and be this into it, is, some people are like, oh well, aren't you a little embarrassed? And I'm like, no, I'm definitely not embarrassed, because there are millions of us and it is amazing. So it is a really cool community, and there are organizations like the 501st that get together, that do movie replica costumes, and they visit children's hospitals, and they do all sorts of fundraising and just like helping people out, and that's just really really cool to see, because these are people that spend thousands of dollars on these costumes, and then they use them to go out and do good in the world, and I love that.
I love that too. And I think your point is so valid in terms of the idea that just because now we are both in our 50s, like at any age, you should embrace whatever fandom you want to embrace, right? I feel like that very passionately about the cozy, and we've touched on this a little bit, and I think we'll do an entire podcast on a lot of the hate that the cozy's gotten, even within the industry for many, many years. And fortunately, like the tides are slowly but surely starting to change. But a lot of times, something that is light and fun and cozy in the book world, or romance, anything that's escapism, often you get sort of belittled, like as a writer and as a reader of the genre, like, oh, that's for a younger generation, or that's just fluff, or you shouldn't be into Star Wars, or I can't like Taylor at 50. Like, no, absolutely not. Like, love what you love and embrace it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, I you can tell just by the mess behind me in my creative space. 99% of it is Star Wars, so I have embraced it.
And now it's embraced on your body.
Right, right,
Fully,
forever.
completely,
Yeah,
forever. I want to talk a little bit about, sort of speaking of the book industry, the industry piece of things, because obviously both of these brands, Star Wars and Taylor Swift, have dramatically changed both of their industries. And one thing for me as a writer that I have been just in awe of and really inspired by, even though Taylor's a younger generation than me, is that she has just really gone after fiercely protecting her creative rights, getting her albums back, re-recording
right,
them, re-releasing Taylor's version. I mean, that is a game changer on every level. And readers might not know that as writers, we're in the same position. So when a publishing house buys a series, they hold on to those rights. So for my first series, the Pacific Northwest Mysteries, they'd been out there for many, many years, and they've just been dying this slow, painful death. And it was really Taylor who inspired me to try to fight to get them back, because I want to re-release them, and I want the Ellie's version of these books with the covers I envisioned. And even though as a creative, you're creating the content, you don't fully own it, which
right.
I think is something people might not understand.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally true. I mean, people get confused about that all the time. when I've heard readers talking to you and everything about it, and I just don't think like it's not something that people quite understand in terms of ownership and everything. And I remember like it wasn't that long ago, but the day that you got the rights back to the Meg series, the Pacific Northwest Mysteries, that was a good day. I mean, you celebrated. You listened to a little Taylor after
That's
that
right.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I did. Yeah,
yeah,
because that's huge, and, it's gonna be interesting to see how other musicians follow it with her kind of paving the way. And
yeah,
I know, for me, with a lot of my writer friends, we're often in the same position where it's like, oh, you've invested in a series, you love it, it goes a few books, and the publishing house cancels it, and then you're sort of in this limbo, like, oh, I would love to write more, but readers can't get the first books because they're out of print, and there's no interest in a reprint, and yeah, I love that piece, and I suspect that we're gonna see a bigger trend in that way. We'll see.
yeah, yeah. No, it would be good. It like it's always the traditional realm of whether it's publishers or music groups, they like that is it's all changing, and artists are they have more options and opportunities than they did even 5-10 years ago. And so I think distribution used to be the big limiter for
Oh,
anybody, like whether you were an author or a singer or a filmmaker for that matter. And now that's not such a barrier as it used to be. So I think we all win with that because we're getting more content all the time, and we are, as a society, definitely consumers of content.
but it's good creative content, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
How do you think Star Wars is shaping the film industry? Like, and what do you think about, the sort of rush to get multiple series out? Are you getting to a point where you feel like you're over it? Is it too much?
It'll never be too much for me. I know there is a segment of the fan base that thinks that, well, now post Disney acquisition that they've just been cranking out shows and movies and stuff, and not everything's going to be a hit like the original trilogy were, but that for me it's just it's so exciting. Well, two things. One, I love to see how they're connecting all the narratives. So
Mm,
even with the new stuff, because there's they're doing a great job of like really looking at the canon and seeing where stories fall, and then being able to connect the dots and see things from when I was a kid that are now like connected in these newer shows, and be like, oh, just like getting really excited. But for me, it's even more exciting, I think, to see the reaction of our son with him seeing some of this stuff for the first time.
yeah.
And I mean, he's 20 now, so he's like the the apprentice has definitely become the master. Like he's definitely graduated from Padawan to full blown Jedi, because his knowledge level far surpasses mine. But it's still really cool to get to see him react to stuff and get excited about things, because it transports me back to when I was his age, and things were still relatively new. Um, but I think like how it changed the movie industry, like it completely changed special effects as we know them
Yeah.
today. I mean, Industrial Light and Magic. In fact, for anybody out there, this is a shameless plug. We're not getting any kickback or anything, but if you have Disney Plus, watch Light and Magic.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
just go watch it. It's just the story of how Industrial Light and Magic came to be, and the people who worked there at the time, and how they accomplished some of the things that they've done, not just for Star Wars, but for all sorts of movies that you wouldn't even really think that they were involved in. But it's pretty incredible. And so I think seeing that, and seeing just talking, we were just talking about this a couple of weeks ago, how like, 1977 is not that long ago. And they did all of that stuff practically. So all of the ships were modeled, like scale models, and they found ways to, using painted backdrops and everything, and camera techniques and stuff to pull all that off. And now everything is digital, mixed with some of the practical effects, but they're, ILM is still leading the charge. So definitely without Star Wars, I'm not sure how far along special effects would have gotten, if they would have gotten to where they're at as fast as they have.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think it's also like, it'll be fascinating to see if people, moviegoers, kind of as we go deeper into the world of digital and AI, if there's this resurgence in wanting more practical effects, kind of like the paperback and the book world, where ebooks and audio outsell paperbacks by like 70-80%, but then there's still this base that wants to hold a book. Where is there going to be this base that's like, no, I still want somebody to build a model? And
yeah, I think so. I mean, I think, as much as I love technology and like to see the advancement and the rate of advancement and everything, I think there'll always be a market for actual human created stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, wait, I thought of one other way that I feel like Star Wars changed things was merchandising, because the toys related to the movie have not only, Saturday Night Live has done some awesome skits about this, but not only as a kid did you get to play with them. And yes, I did unbox and play with all of my toys. I did not keep them in the box, pristine in the, in the closet and everything. But I just I think that changed things, because it was really an untapped market, and it is still, to this day, is still just incredible to see the stuff being made. I used to have such a great time comparing my old stuff, my original figures with Luke and his, even at the time back in the, early to mid 2000s, and just seeing like the ridiculous level of detail and how it had changed from,
Totally.
my like molded slug like looking Chewbacca to his that looked like it had real hair and it was still all plastic. It was just incredible.
Yeah, I love that. Didn't we have something we were going to show?
Oh yeah. Good point. I forgot that we have to take a break for a word from our sponsor.
We have a sponsor?
Yeah, I did. I know I told you that we were going to do this, and then I totally forgot. So thanks for reminding me. It is, yeah.
I hadn't heard about this because you are the advertising guy. So when you were like, we have a sponsor, I'm like, we've only put out 3 or 4 podcasts. How do we already have someone who wants to advertise on it? That's not possible. But you won't tell me any details about it.
Right. No, it's possible. So we're gonna take a short break. We're gonna listen to a word from our sponsor, and then we'll be right back to talk a little bit more about Taylor Swift and Star Wars. So here we go. Ever find yourself dreaming of Ashland, Oregon? Well, let Ellie Alexander take you there with her BAKESHOP mystery series. Picture this: cozy little town, delicious pastries, and oh yeah, a sprinkle of murder. But wait, there's more. Fancy a trip to Leavenworth, Washington? Dive into the SLOAN KRAUSE mysteries where beer meets sleuthing. Prost to that. And now, drumroll please, Ellie's got a brand new series set in the charming Redwood Grove, California. Get ready for the secret bookcase mysteries. The first 2 books, The Body in the Bookstore and A Murder at the Movies, are dropping on June 19th. Trust me, you don't want to miss these page turners. So grab a comfy seat, maybe a snack and a drink, and let Ellie Alexander transport you to these mystery-filled locales. Happy reading. May your bookshelves be overflowing and your mysteries ever thrilling. Oh my gosh, that is so
You had me going. I was like, "What?" Oh, no.
I don't know, we had to make it. I mean, this is what, episode 4, right? So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
we had to make it kind of official, like like the big podcast, right?
I
So
literally am
there you
tearing
go.
up. I'm laughing
Um,
like, "No."
yeah, I'll send you a
Uh,
bill for that
okay,
ad.
great. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Every time it gets mentioned, I get a
yeah,
little okay.
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, no, that's great. That's pretty funny. I'm not familiar with this Ellie Alexander, so it's very exciting to
I know
me.
she sounds like a pretty good author, I think. I don't know.
Oh, no.
I'm gonna check her
Um,
out though. That was a lot of books.
that is a lot
Yeah,
of
a lot
books.
of
I know, it's
series.
funny seeing them all. Wow,
Yeah.
impressive. Um, we should talk about some personal picks before we round out this episode, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So I would like to start. We kind of touched on this, but let's start with Star Wars. So let's start with Star Wars first, and then we'll end with Taylor. Favorite Star Wars of all time for you, or moment?
Whoa, that's tough. Favorite?
I know.
Uh, I think it'd probably have to be well, within the movie or
No,
within.
within the
Okay.
entire universe, because mine is within the entire the my Star Wars. Do you want me to go first so you can
Yeah.
think about it? Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Well, no, I
Um,
mean, I have 2 answers, but yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'll go first just so you know,
Okay.
because you are the true fan. So I've been an adjacent fan my entire life. No, I really am a fan. I'm just not quite as hardcore or as well versed in all of the nuances. I would say, it's pretty parallel for you and Luke with Taylor too. You are Taylor fans, whether you want
Mhm.
it to be or not at this point.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Mine is Rogue One.
Oh,
Loved everything about that movie. Love the cast, love the tone, love the vibe. This is a spoiler. So if you haven't seen Rogue One, came out what, like 10 years ago,
yeah,
and
it's
you're in
been a while.
yeah, and you're gonna go see it, like, then just skip this part. But I had no idea they were all gonna die at the end. I leaned over to you at the movie theater because they're on the island or whatever, and I'm like, "How are they getting off?" And you're like,
Yeah, they're
"No,
not.
they're not." What? Oh, this is why I'm not as well versed, like, I should have known that, but it's still my favorite, even with
Yeah. No, that it was a great movie, but yes, they that
ah,
was I
they all
felt bad.
die!
I felt bad. We Luke and I were both laughing, but we did feel bad that you didn't know that ahead of time.
No clue.
I mean, that's there's gotta be sacrifice to beat the bad guys, so,
Fair
um,
enough.
yeah.
I was waiting for the special ship that was gonna come in, it wasn't coming. That's also just great storytelling, like, everyone dies at the end. I was emotional, but okay, they're setting the path for
Yeah.
future Jedi. Yeah.
Yeah, there's hope. There's still
Is there?
hope. Yeah. That's awesome.
Okay.
Well, wait, so now I have to pick a favorite moment from Taylor Swift?
No, no, we're still on Star Wars for you, and
Oh,
then we're
okay.
gonna do Taylor Swift for both of us.
Yeah.
I gave you a pass so you could think about it because you were struggling.
Oh, okay. No, I wasn't. I didn't know what you wanted me the format you wanted me to say. So first, I think the first thing would be, um, just watching Luke's reaction the first time he saw the Clone Wars animated series, because that was really one of the first things we let him actually watch,
Right. Yeah.
and
He was little.
it was just that took me back because it was like the whole awe and wonder of this story, and he was hooked. You could tell from from that minute, he was just hooked. So that was really cool. I will actually, I'll pick another moment, which was, from the same movie that you were just talking about, and that was, what they did with, uh, like the timing of it around Rogue One, and with the first appearance of Darth Vader, the
Yeah.
new intro where you actually see him coming
Right.
in, and
Whew. That was
And it's,
scary.
because seeing it back in the 70s, it was like it was like, oh my, what, like, holy crap, who is this guy? It's really scary. But this one was like just
Oh,
jaw dropping. Yeah, it was
yeah,
that was really cool. It was very
yeah,
cool.
it's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, so favorite Taylor Swift song, moment, etc.
Moment would be the Eras tour, just
Yeah.
that whole thing. But like the initial opening scream was for me like just because that just that kind of, I mean, I've obviously heard a lot of Taylor Swift songs, and I know a lot about Taylor Swift like through you and everything. But that was like just an absolute indicator of how much her fans love her when she came out. But yeah, that tour is just, I've never seen anything like that. I don't know if I'll ever see anything like that again. Like that was from start to finish one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Just from a musical standpoint, from a technical standpoint, like just everything was awesome.
Yeah. And favorite song, are you sticking with Love Story?
Of hers, yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
easy. Okay. I I feel like every time I'm on TikTok or Instagram Reels, there's like some Taylor Swift moment because of course the algorithm knows now that this is what I like, where like a fan is interacting, like they're bringing their mom, they're bringing their sister, like whatever, and they're just like in tears, and then I cry every single time. So that is like my ongoing favorite moment, up there of course with Eras Tour. Nothing else will probably ever compare. Picking a song is really impossible. This is like for you trying to pick a movie, right? I could pick 4 or 5 on every album. But there are some
Wow.
standouts. So like I love Long Live. I love Long Live in
Oh,
concert,
Long
but
Live is a good one.
I
I
know.
really like that one too.
But she just took it off. I know. She
Yeah.
just took it off the tour to make room for Tortured Poets Department. Invisible String has some of my favorite lyrics of all time.
I'm not sure I
Um,
know that one.
you would know
I
it
mean,
if
I
I
would
played
know
it.
it, but I
Yeah.
don't like I said, I'm terrible with the lyrics and the names of the songs, so
You've heard it like a zillion times.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Uh,
that I have no doubt.
you can't go wrong with All Too Well, the 10-minute version, because
Oh,
that's a story arc, from a writing perspective that you're just gonna follow all the way through. I love anything she does with Ed Sheeran, Everything Has Changed. I love a lot of stuff on the new album, and,
yeah.
I
You weren't
love
sure about it at first.
I
You weren't.
wasn't.
No.
It's an album that it takes a few listens, but now I have a lot of favorites, that I keep coming back to, and really what I love more than anything is we're talking about poetry in just modern times, like, that's amazing that poetry's, like, entered the chat at this stage. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I've solidly proved my case that if we had to pick, Taylor's the clear winner.
Oh, wait, we were arguing to see who was the like
Yeah,
like what? No, I didn't
yeah.
know that. I thought it was just like, hey, we're gonna have some questions. We're gonna
No,
talk about. No, we
no,
had to pick
no, this is
who's better.
yeah.
They're not even the same thing.
It doesn't matter.
Oh,
There's a clear winner, a
I don't
clear winner today, and
I don't
it's
know
Taylor.
about that. I
Tay-Tay.
don't know about that. What are we basing that? Like, are we should we talk about money? Like,
Oh, we could talk about money.
I
No,
mean, I know Taylor's a billionaire, but George Lucas sold the Disney like property to or sold the Star Wars property to Disney for $4 billion,
we don't
all
wanna
of which he then
sully.
donated to education. So has Taylor donated $4 billion to education?
She's given all of her truck drivers $100,000 bonuses, she treats her
Mhm.
staff well, she's had all of her backup dancers have had health insurance from day 1, which does not happen in the industry, but we don't wanna sully this discussion with money, like, no, we're just talking, like, in the zeitgeist, who's the winner? And it's Taylor.
Mm.
We
I don't know if I
we
can I don't know if I can I love Taylor, but I don't know if I can get on board with that. I'm calling
we
it a tie. I'm
okay,
calling
you're
it a
calling it a
tie.
tie. We could ask the darlings to weigh
Okay.
in the comments and let us know what they think
All
because
right. Well,
you know.
that sucks because I know I'm gonna lose, so
I don't
so
know. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. We'll have to see.
this I feel like I was set up from the beginning on this
Oh,
one.
yeah, you were. Yeah,
Your
definitely.
your ad fee just doubled.
Shoot. All right. Well, on that note, until next time, I'm gonna
Until
go
next
listen to
time.
some Taylor.
I'm gonna go watch a Star Wars movie.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.